You reach for that box on the shelf. It says one word, distance. Big bold letters, right across the sleeve. And you think you just bought yourself 20 extra yards. I thought the exact same thing for years. But after digging through robot testing data and a patent filed back in 1898, I found something that stopped me cold. The ball you were told would add distance is the same ball quietly stealing it from you. 40 yards. Gone. Not because of your age, not because of your swing, because of one number that is printed nowhere on that box. I first noticed it on a cold Tuesday morning at my home course, watching a 72-year-old man outdrive me with a ball that cost him half of what mine did. I couldn't explain it, so I started pulling threads. And a golf engineer named Tom, along with a rubber-wound ball invented in Cleveland more than 100 years ago, explains the whole thing. Best part? This works with the exact swing you already have, right now, today. So let me take you back to that Tuesday morning, because that is where this whole trail started. I had just spent $48 on a dozen premium balls. The box promised low spin, high launch, maximum distance. Everything a man my age is told he needs. And standing on the first tee, I hit what I thought was a clean drive. Solid contact. Felt good. 210 yards. Then this older gentleman I'd never met steps up, takes an easy, unhurried swing, almost lazy looking, and his ball sails past mine by a good 30 yards. I laughed it off. Better swing, I figured, but I watched him all day. Hole after hole. Same thing. And when we shook hands on the 18th green, I asked him what ball he played. He pulled it out of his pocket and showed me. It was a soft, cheap-looking ball I would have walked right past in the store. That was the moment the question lodged in my brain and would not leave. Why did the expensive distance ball lose to the cheap one? That question sent me down a rabbit hole I never expected. Here is the first thing I uncovered, and it made me feel like a fool. The word distance on a golf ball box does not mean what you think it means. It never did. I always assumed distance meant the ball flies farther for everyone who hits it. That is the natural assumption. That is what the marketing wants you to believe. But when I started reading the actual engineering behind these balls, I learned that distance balls are designed around a specific type of golfer, and it is not you. It is not me. It is not the 70-year-old who was crushing me all afternoon. Those balls are engineered and tested for players who swing the club extremely fast. We are talking swing speeds of 100 miles per hour or more, the kind of speed a touring professional or a strong young player produces. The ball is built to perform for that swing, and if you do not have that swing, the ball actually works against you. I sat there staring at my screen thinking, that cannot be right. Why would they sell a distance ball to the millions of us who swing slower? Therefore I kept digging, because that answer clearly did not add up. What I found next is the heart of the mystery, and it comes down to a single word almost nobody talks about at the store: compression. Every golf ball has a compression rating. It is a number, usually somewhere between 30 and 100, that measures how much the ball squishes when you strike it. Think of the golf ball like a spring. When the club face hits the ball has to compress, has to squash inward, and then snap back to launch itself off the face. That snap back is where your distance comes from. It is stored energy releasing all at once. Here is the part that changed everything for me. To get that full snapback, you have to actually compress the ball. You have to squash it enough, and squashing a hard, high-compression ball takes a lot of clubhead speed. A whole lot. If you swing fast enough, that firm ball compresses fully and rockets off the face like a coiled spring. But if you do not swing that fast, the ball barely compresses at all. It just sits there, stiff, refusing to give. And a ball that will not compress will not spring back. That energy you generated? Lost. It never gets returned to the ball. You are basically hitting a rock. That was the click. That was the first clue snapping into place. The expensive distance balls I had been buying were high-compression balls, built for fast swingers, and my swing simply was not fast enough to make them work. I was leaving 30, 40 yards on the table every single drive, and I had been doing it for years without knowing. But this only raised a bigger question, and this is the one that kept me up at night. If slower swingers need softer, lower compression balls, then why does every store push the firm distance balls on older golfers? Why is the truth hidden behind a word that means the opposite of what it says? Therefore, I had to go back further to figure out how the golf ball even became this way in the first place. So I went hunting through the history of the golf ball itself, and this is where the trail got fascinating. It turns out the very idea of a springy, compressing ball was invented by accident, and it has a real name and a real date attached to it. In 1898, a man named Coburn Haskell was waiting for a friend at a golf club in Cleveland, Ohio. To pass the time, he was fiddling with a long strand of rubber thread, and he wound it tightly into a ball. When he bounced it on the floor, it nearly hit the ceiling. He realized that wound rubber stored and released energy in a way nothing before it ever had. He patented that idea, and by 1901 the Haskell ball was changing the game entirely. Before Haskell, golfers played a solid ball called the gutty, made of dried tree sap, and it flew like a stone. The wound Haskell ball added distance for everyone because it compressed and sprang back. That was the whole magic, compression and rebound. For the next 100 years, that was the soul of the golf ball. Now here is why that century-old story matters to your next round. The Haskell ball worked because it was soft enough to compress at normal human swing speeds. It was forgiving. It rewarded the everyday player, but somewhere along the way, that principle got twisted. As modern materials came in, manufacturers learned they could build ultra-firm, multi-layer balls that produced enormous distance, but only in the hands of players swinging well over 100 miles per hour. Those balls became the flagship products, the prestige products, the ones with the highest price tags and the biggest marketing budgets, and the soft, low-compression, easy-to-compress ball, the true descendant of Haskell's invention, got pushed to the bottom shelf and labeled as a beginner ball, or a lady's ball, or a cheap ball. I actually felt a little angry when I realized this. The exact ball most of us over 50 should be playing had been quietly relabeled as inferior, but it was never inferior. It was matched to a real human swing, and that is the ball that was buried. Let me give you the hard numbers, because this is where it stops being a story and starts being your yardage. I found robot testing data, machine testing that removes all human error, comparing balls across different swing speeds, and the results are brutal for slower swingers. When a golfer with a swing speed around 85 miles per hour or lower plays a firm, high-compression distance ball, they consistently lose distance compared to a low-compression ball. In many tests, the gap is real and measurable. We are talking somewhere between 10 and 40 yards off the tee, depending on just how slow the swing is and just how firm the ball. The slower you swing, the bigger the penalty for playing the wrong ball. Think about that for a second. If your swing speed sits around 80 miles per hour, which is completely normal and healthy for a man in his 60s or 70s, the wrong ball could be robbing you of an entire club length or more on every drive. Over a whole round, that is dozens of yards you are giving away for free, and you paid a premium for the privilege. Now I know exactly what some of you are thinking, because I thought it too. You are thinking, this sounds nice, but my swing is what it is. I'm not getting younger, my speed is not coming back, and I don't have the money to go get a fancy fitting at some fancy studio. I hear you. That was my worry precisely. So let me put your mind at ease right now, because this is the part that matters most, and it costs you nothing. You do not need to swing faster. You do not need a fitting. You do not need to buy new clubs. You just need to match the ball to the swing you already have, and you can figure out your rough swing speed with one number you almost certainly already know: your driver carry distance. Here is the simple math I use. Take how far your driver carries in the air, in yards, and if it is roughly 200 yards or less, your swing speed is very likely somewhere south of 90 miles per hour, and you belong in a low compression ball. If your driver carries around 180 yards or less, you want to go even softer, into the lowest compression balls made. That is the whole test. No equipment, no appointment, just an honest look at how far your tee shot actually flies. And here is the beautiful part about applying this today with what you already own. The next time you play, bring two balls out with you. Bring whatever firm distance ball you have been playing, and bring one soft, low compression ball, the kind that might cost you $20 a dozen instead of 50. Hit them back to back on the same hole, in the same conditions. Just pay attention. You will feel the difference in the sound first. The firm ball makes a hard, clicky sound. The soft ball makes a quieter, muffled thud. That thud is the sound of the ball actually compressing, actually storing your energy. Then watch the flight. Most slower swingers see the soft ball launch a touch higher, hang in the air longer, and land further out. You do not need a launch monitor to see it. Your own eyes will tell you the truth in about 3 swings. I did this test myself, and I will be honest, I did not believe it until the soft ball outflew my expensive ball by a margin I could not argue with. That was the day I stopped buying based on the word on the box. And that 2-ball test is the doorway. Once I saw it with my own eyes, I went further than a video like this can hold, and I wrote it all down, because there is a whole fitting system behind that one moment on the tee. I put it into 3 books written for men our age, for swing speeds between 70 and 90 miles per hour, more than 400 pages of it. In there you learn how to pin down your real swing speed at your kitchen table in 5 minutes without a launch monitor, how to read the compression chart against your own numbers instead of guessing, how to correct for a cold morning when the ball goes stiff on you, which models actually earn their place in your bag, and where the markup hides so you stop paying for a logo. It is the difference between suspecting your ball is wrong and knowing exactly which one belongs in your pocket on Saturday. To get the collection, scan the QR code right there on your screen, link in the description, pinned comment. Then take it out and prove it to yourself the way I did. Now, understanding that you need a softer ball is only the start. But knowing you need a softer ball is only half the battle, therefore I had to answer the harder question. Which specific balls are the ones working against you? Which ones should a slower swinging golfer actually leave on the shelf? Because the trap is that the worst offenders are often the most heavily marketed, the most respected, the ones with distance right there in the name. So let me walk you through the category of balls that most often betray the senior golfer, and why. I am not here to trash any single brand, because good companies make both kinds of balls. I am here to teach you the pattern, so you can spot the trap on any shelf, in any store, for the rest of your golfing life. The first type to avoid is any ball marketed as a tour-level, multi-layer performance ball with a compression rating up around 90 or higher. These are the flagship balls the professionals play. They usually have 3, 4, even 5 layers and a firm urethane cover. They are magnificent balls, genuinely, but only if you swing over 100 miles per hour. For the rest of us, that firm core never fully compresses, and we pay tour prices to lose distance. If a ball is the most expensive one in the case, and it is the one your favorite pro endorses, that is your first warning sign. That ball was built for his swing, not yours. The second type to avoid is the firm 2-piece distance ball, the kind that leans hardest on the word distance and often the word max or extreme. Here is the cruel irony. Many of these budget distance balls are actually built firm with higher compression on the theory that a hard surface flies far, and for a fast swinger hitting it thin, sure, it rolls forever. But that same hardness that produces rollout for a strong player produces a dead, unresponsive feel for a slower swing that cannot compress it. You get a ball that neither flies high nor carries far when you swing at 80 miles per hour. Read the compression. If it is firm and you swing slow, put it back. The third type to avoid is any ball chosen purely because it feels hard and clicky off the putter and irons. I meet a lot of older golfers who tell me they like a firm feel because that is what they grew up with, back when everyone played firmer balls and hard was normal. I understand the nostalgia, but that firm feel you enjoy on the green is the exact same firmness robbing you off the tee. You are trading 40 yards of driving distance for a feeling on the putter. It is not worth it. And honestly, once you get used to the softer feel, most people come to prefer it anyway. The fourth type to avoid is any ball sold on spin numbers you will never use. A lot of premium balls advertise high greenside spin, the ability to stop the ball dead on the green like the professionals do. That sounds appealing, but high spin comes from a firm construction that again demands a fast swing to activate. And most everyday golfers over 50 are not attacking greens with the kind of steep, high-speed wedge shots that even produce that spin. You are paying for a feature you physically cannot access, and it comes bundled with a firmness that costs you distance everywhere else. Do not buy spin you will never spin. The fifth type to avoid is the sneakiest of all. It is the ball marketed specifically to seniors that is still built firm. This one made me shake my head. I found several balls advertised at older players with all the right words, senior, distance, easy, that when you actually check the compression rating are firmer than they should be. The marketing knows we are searching for distance. It puts the word right on the box. But the engineering inside does not match the promise. This is exactly why I keep telling you to ignore the front of the box entirely and hunt for the compression number. The words are for selling. The number is the truth. Now, you may have noticed something. Every single one of those 5 traps comes back to the same root cause: firmness, high compression, a ball that will not squash at your swing speed. That is the whole secret, hiding in plain sight, buried under 100 years of marketing that turned a simple word, soft, into something we were trained to see as weak. But it is not weak. It is matched, and matched beats macho every single time on the scorecard. So the question becomes, if firm is the enemy for us, how soft should we actually go, and how do we know we have gone far enough? That is where the final piece of this puzzle comes together, and it is simpler than anything I have told you so far. Here is the finale, the thing that snapped the entire mystery shut for me, and I found it not in a marketing brochure, but in the work of a golf club engineer named Tom Wishen, a man who spent decades in equipment design and testing, and who has spent years trying to tell everyday golfers the truth the big brands will not. What I learned from digging through his research and the robot testing that backs it up is this. For a golfer with a slower swing speed, the single most important specification on a golf ball is compression, and the ideal number is far lower than almost anyone plays. If your driver swing speed is under about 90 miles per hour, which again is most men over 60, you want a ball with a compression rating in the range of about 50 or lower. And if your swing is genuinely slow, down around 70 to 80 miles per hour, you want to go all the way down into the 30s and 40s. These ultra-low compression balls are the true heirs of that Haskell ball from 1898. They compress fully at gentle, human swing speeds. They store your energy, and they give it all back. That is where your 40 yards is hiding. Not in your muscles, not in your age, in a number. And here is how you apply it this very weekend, with no fitting, no gadgets, no expense beyond a single sleeve of balls. Go find a ball with a stated compression in the 30s, 40s, or low 50s. The manufacturers do publish these numbers, and a 2-minute search of the model name plus the word compression will hand you the figure. Many of the best low compression balls for slower swings cost less than half the price of the tour balls, sometimes far less. Buy one sleeve, just 3 balls. Take them out with your usual ball and do the back-to-back test I described. Same hole, same wind, alternate shots. Watch how much higher and longer that soft ball flies with the swing you already have. I am telling you, the first time you see your own ball fly past where your expensive ball has been landing for years, something shifts. You stop trusting the box. You start trusting the number. And you never go back. Let me tell you what this really means, because it is bigger than golf. For over 100 years, the golf ball was designed to reward the ordinary player. Coburn Haskell's wound ball added distance for everyone, the strong and the gentle alike. That was the whole point. Then, slowly, the industry learned that firmness and layers and prestige and high prices sold better, and the soft, forgiving, everyman ball got shoved to the discount rack and dressed up as inferior. The knowledge did not disappear. It was buried. Engineers like Tom Wishen kept it alive, robot tests kept proving it, and a handful of us who went looking found it sitting right there, waiting. And now you have it too. The next time someone tells you that you have lost distance because you are getting older, you will know better. You did not lose those yards to age. Somebody sold them to you in a box, labeled with the wrong word, and now you know how to take them back. I want you to feel what I felt on that 18th green, shaking hands with a man 20 years my senior who had just beaten me down the fairway all day long with a ball I would have been embarrassed to buy. I felt like something had been kept from me. Something simple, something that was mine all along, and I do not want that feeling to belong to you for one more round. If you are the kind of person who has always suspected that a lot of what we are sold is engineered to keep us spending and keep us quiet, then you already understand what this whole trail proved. The most valuable knowledge is often the cheapest to use. It just gets buried under the most expensive marketing. So here is what I want to know from you. And I am asking you directly, because this channel only works when we compare notes. Go check the compression rating of the ball sitting in your bag right now. Look it up, and then come down to the comments and tell me two things. Tell me that compression number, and tell me your rough driver carry distance. I want to see how many of you have been playing a ball that is fighting your swing this whole time. I read these, and I promise you the pattern will shock you once we start stacking them up. Do not just nod and scroll away. Type it out, that number in your bag versus the number you should be playing. And if this pulled back the curtain for you even a little, subscribe and stand with the rest of us who are done taking the label at its word and are digging up the practical truths that got buried on purpose. Because next time, I am going after the driver itself, and specifically the one setting on your driver that most senior golfers have adjusted exactly backwards, the single dial that is launching your ball too low to carry, and how to fix it in about 60 seconds in your own garage. That one surprised me even more than the ball. Check the number in your bag, leave your comment, and I will see you on the next trail. That's the overview. But if you want to go further, come inside the Old Ways Circle, where I walk you through the deeper version of everything we just covered. Inside, you can ask me your own question, and a real person answers, not a machine. And you won't be alone. Old Ways folks like you are already right there with us. Just point your phone's camera at the code on your screen. Cancel anytime with one click. Now that you know which balls to avoid, let me show you exactly which one to play instead. It could take strokes off your score right away. That video is starting right here, so stay with me.